So in this episode, we're going to talk about unanswered questions from the CMMC-AB Townhall. I'm joined by Ty Wittenberg of
Hey,
Rain
good morning,
Associates.
Todd.
Morning,
How are
Ty.
you?
Very good. So I am the Regional Sales Manager at Etactics. We're a software development company, and basically we just want to make it easier to implement CMMC, so we developed a better GRC. Ty, do you want to introduce yourself and Rain
So
Associates?
Ty Wittenberg, as you have heard from Todd and me once again, with Rain Associates. Rain Associates is a top 100 CPA and business consulting firm located here in Ohio, but doing business with clients all across the country and providing cyber security services along with registered provider organization in the CMMC space.
And thank you for joining us. So we've been participating in these town halls for the past year, and there's a lot of questions that get asked in these events that the accreditation board either doesn't have the time to answer, or maybe the answer is just lengthier than a short response in a chat box. So I thought it might be a good opportunity for us to leverage the experience of somebody like Ty, take some of these questions from the dialogue box and talk about them. So the first one that we're going to start with is, when can we expect assessments to start? And I'll kind of categorize. There's different types of assessments, and maybe it would behoove us to cover each. But let's start with the easy one. So assessments for C3PAOs by the DIBCAC. Those are ongoing right now, right?
There's currently, if I'm not mistaken, 3 organizations that are officially certified to be C3PAOs. They're going through the selection process right now of selecting those folks that are in line or in the process of being certified. However, there's a ton of organizations, I shouldn't say a ton, but there's a significant amount of organizations that do business in the information security IT space that are registered provider organizations.
And so I looked at the queue of the C3PAOs that are waiting to get their maturity level 3 DIBCAC assessment, and I saw about 180 in line that have filled their paperwork out, and they're just waiting for their own assessment before they can become authorized within the marketplace. Do we have any idea what type of pace, like how many assessments the DIBCAC is conducting a month with these candidate C3PAOs?
I'll be very honest with you, and I think one of the reasons why I wasn't answered at the town hall is, think of work in progress WIP, and you think of it as a funnel. That 100 plus that you're talking about, that's a lot at the top of the hopper, and there's only so many folks within the organization that can assess them. So I think it's just, if you think of it like your education in college or wherever that may be in matriculation, it's just going to be a bit of a process. So, what'll wind up happening is those organizations that are going to be helping organizations achieve their maturity levels 3, 4, 5, they will probably take a higher priority in getting assessed so that they can start doing those assessments for those organizations seeking certification. But that's just an assumption on my behalf on how the prioritization of who's getting selected to be assessed, right? Part of it is on their end and part of it is on the assessor's end. And so, it's almost like I talked about the matriculation, but if you think about athletes that go from high school to college and then to pros, right? There's a funneling down, and it's just going to take a bit of time here that we probably didn't anticipate, but we've got a lot of good organizations out there for certified third-party assessors that are just waiting and waiting to be a tentative person in that pipeline as well too.
Okay. And so if a client were to ask you, hey, we've got a contract that we think is going to have CMMC language, when do you think I can get an assessment done by a C3PAO? What would you advise that client?
Well, for starters, so if you're thinking that you're going to go with a certified third-party assessor, are you prepared for that assessment, right? I would ask some questions first. Walk me through what steps you've done to identify your system security plan. Talk to me a little bit about your process and procedures for a couple of things. If they don't have those things buttoned up, my next step would be is, while you're trying to bid on that contract, you need to be doing some preparation to be at that maturity level, because those assessors are going to want to see a book of business, a playbook, not a book of business, but a playbook that speaks to your maturity and achieving those particular targets and those domains for the CMMC. And if you haven't done that yet, there's no need in worrying about scheduling a C3 PAO. You still have a journey to go on the preparation before you can even have them come out and assess you and say, yes, you're ready.
And if they say to that, well, we've got a completed SSP and then we've moved everything from our POAM over to the SSP, we're good to go. Can I get this scheduled, this summer, or is this going to be more like the end of next year? What would be the best time frame once they're ready that you think they could start actually, reaching out and scheduling these assessments?
I would say, they would definitely want to reach out sooner versus later. They probably have a relationship with a big prime, like a Northrop Grumman or a BAE, or, you name it out there. And so that partnership as well too with that procurement team at that prime would probably also guide you to a C3 PAO that can help, because you're going to be a critical part of that contract to bid it. And if you have a good relationship with them, the sooner versus later, right? If you're ready, schedule it. And then they'll put you in their flight pattern of when they can get out to do the assessment for you. But I think that's going to be based off of your relationship as an organization seeking certification and who your primes are that you're doing business with in those contracts.
Do we know if there's any provisional assessments happening right now?
So I personally have not heard any. There has been provisional assessors, right? But because the solidification of the maturity model hasn't truly been announced per se, even if you did get a provisional assessment, you would still have to have a C3 PAO come out and assess you under the model. So to answer that question, it's almost, to my mind, when you talk about the different maturity levels, 1, 2, and 3, where 2 is kind of intermediary step to show that you're growing towards maturity level 3. A provisional assessment is sort of a intermediary step to show that you're ready to take that next step. If your organization has done that already, fantastic. That means your POAMs, your SSP are probably in a solid place. And then when you have your assessment come out, the scope and cost of that, I would assume, would be less.
Right. Okay. And so one of the holdups has really been, around training. And I know that ties back to what you were talking about with rulemaking, but it did seem like they made some progress within the last 2 months in terms of putting a timeline together of when training was going to be offered, and then certification for assessors and certified professionals would be available. Has anyone from Rain Associates signed up for any of those early certified professional or assessor training classes?
So as a matter of fact, the majority of our team have gotten emails, and I'm sure the majority of the members of the CMMC accreditation body have received emails about updates and links for the new training. So that is ongoing as we speak. I got one as well. Because of some other events that have been going on, I haven't taken a deeper dive yet. But yes, that additional training is out there, has been communicated by the CMMC-AB with links to those registered provider organizations or those folks that have gone through to request to be certified professionals and assessors. So yeah, it's ongoing, right? And the CMMC-AB, I'll tell you, just from the RP process that I took, that you took as well, did a pretty nice job of not only giving you a lot of information around the different levels, but also helping you to be a better ambassador with the CMMC for those organizations seeking certification. So, I'd say the next time you and I chat, I'll probably be more versed on what that training looks like, but I haven't taken my deeper dive yet.